welcome to the Calon Yarns podcast. This is episode 5, I believe. My name is Lynn, and I am not coming to you from Cardiff in Wales in the UK today, but from sunny France. My father and stepmother live here, have done for 7-8 years now, and during the summer we pop along and spend some time with them. So that is where I am at the moment, hence this lovely backdrop. So I will chat more about that later. But this is a knitting, crochet, fibre-based fortnightly podcast. And if you are a new viewer, welcome. Thank you so much for stopping by. This is a slightly strange episode. If you are a returning viewer, I hope you are well. I hope you've had a good couple of weeks and that you have managed to get some projects completed maybe, or some more cast on, but we shall see. The podcast takes the usual format of finished objects, works in progress, stash acquisitions or rediscoveries in my case, as I'm trying to work through my stash, and then some general chatter and shenanigans at the end. So yes, let's get started. My first finished object is this, my Tarmac tank by Anna Maltz, and it is my only finished object, mainly because it is so hot. It has been so hot here in France, reaching 41, 42 degrees Celsius. I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit, but oh my goodness, for a freckly little Welsh girl, it's not good. I can't cope in the heat. So this morning is a little bit more overcast, but hopefully the temperature is coming down a little bit. So that means that having any sort of yarn in my hands has been so painful to think about. So hence, this is the only thing that I have finished. Like I said, the Tarmac tank, it's actually in the issue 25 of the Pom Pom Quarterly magazine, last year's summer edition 2018. But I really, really like it. Let me see if I can show you just a little bit more. So it is very flowy. There's increases that come along this line, so that by the time you get to the end, it's got this nice little swing to it. Nice deep armholes, which means that it's great for the summer, great for popping over a bikini top or whatever. And yeah, I really, really like it. If you watched the episode last week, you will hear about what a faff I had with the straps. Can you hear the clock? Clock bells. Yay! Goes off every hour. I'll tell you more about that later. Anyway, the straps, you start them individually and you have to sort of increase as you go. And I found that such a faff. But I think mainly because it's one of those ones where you do, you increase on this row and then the next third row at the same time you're increasing here and blah, blah, blah. So yeah, it got very complicated, but I succeeded. It was fine. And then you join up the straps and you cast on for under the arms, etc. And then you carry on going round and round, increasing along those lines. That gives you that nice little holy pattern along the edge. So yes, very pleased with it. I did it in a 4-ply cotton, as the pattern suggests. Excuse me. Mine was the Berg de France, ironically enough, seeing as where we are. The cotton 50, which comes in this sort of skein ball shape with the cardboard in the middle. Yeah, I don't know how much I used. I'll weigh this when I get home, actually, but because I'm being super smug, not only did I use it from stash, but it was a dress that I'd made my daughter originally. If I can find a photo, I'll put it on here. So I pulled that back. She never really wore it. It wasn't really her thing, but I enjoyed making it. So I pulled that back, therefore had a bag of little tiny balls like this. And made it from that. Yeah, so it's something that was an object before that I frogged back to make into this. It has a lovely I-cord bind off. I say lovely as in now it's finished, it's lovely, but it took forever. Oh my goodness. Weirdly enough, I was listening to the Stephen Fry Audible book, what's it called? Heroes, about Greek myths and legends. And as I was doing my I-cord bind off around here and the armholes and the edge, he was talking about the labours of Hercules. And this is what one felt like. This I-cord bind off felt like one of the labours of Hercules. It just went on and on and on. But it is done. It is finished, and I am very happy. I blocked it out here day before yesterday, I think, but I haven't got any pins with me, so I wasn't able to pin it properly. So some of the edging curls in a little bit. But I think when I get back, I'll reblock it and pin that edging a bit more. Can you see here? It just curls in slightly. So I think if I take the time to block that properly, it will be fine. But yeah, really pleased with that. So my one and only finished objects, I blame the heat. As you can see, my hair is away from my face because I get so warm. It's awful, but I do have to drink a little French coffee, of course. Anyway, what else have I been up to? So, works in progress. Not a great deal because of the heat. My socks are still like this, very poor. I thought I'd have time to do some on the ferry when we come over. We generally do a night crossing, so there's usually a couple of hours there before we go to bed. But oh no, I was just too excited to be on holiday, really, you know. So they're still like that. If it gets a little cooler, I might crack on with those a little bit. I doubt it, if I'm honest. But I brought them anyway, just in case. Just in case we have snow or something, then I will get on with my socks. So that is just sitting there, languishing in its little bag. But new cast-ons. So I talked about this last week, but I've decided to do, after much to-ing and fro-ing, the Rheinlust shawl pattern by Melanie Berg. This is a 4-ply pattern, and I really like her shawls. They're so beautiful. She's got loads and loads and loads. Do look her up if you're interested in getting into a bit of a shawl pattern. But I'm doing it in this. It's sort of a linen mix, I think. I bought it a couple of years ago at a festival in Cornwall. I can't remember now. Anyway, so I can't remember who it was, but it's really lovely. It's got a nice blue, watery blue colour to it. I did a swatch yesterday. It's supposed to be on a 3.5mm needle, but it was because there's no plume in the fibre. It just was a little bit too gappy, so I think I'm going to go to a 3.25, which is the same as this actually. This was on a 3.25, I can't remember if I said that. So yeah, I'm going to do it on a 3.25. Luckily, I have that with me, obviously, and see how that works out. It's a charted pattern as well as a written pattern. It's a charted pattern, and I don't know if any of you, I'm sure you all have, but have you seen these? They're the Knit Pro chart keepers, pattern keepers. Is that upside down? Yeah. The Knit Pro pattern keepers, they come in an A5 size and an A4 size, but they are absolutely brilliant. You pin them like that, clip them like that at the back so that it can stand in a little V shape. And you have this magnetised marker, so you can keep an eye on where you are. So you can just raise that line by line, and you've got these magnets that keep everything in position. But they are brilliant. If you ever see one, or look on Amazon or whatever, if you have trouble following a chart, which I always do, these are great. I still have to mark off the rows as I go, because sometimes this moves when you put it in your bag. But oh, it's great. It really is. And you can really see then where you're working from. Always put the bar above the chart line that you're working from. So that's great. I absolutely recommend those. So I did a little swatch yesterday, as I say, but I will cast that back on again today in a smaller needle, I think, which will make it a little bit better because it's that cotton linen mix, I think. Last week, as I was going through my stash to decide what to bring away on holiday, wanting cottons and linens, that sort of thing, I found a bag full of cotton that I was making a blanket from. I can't remember when I started it, what I was doing with it, but it's still halfway through, and that I left at home because the bag was just far too big to bring. But as I was looking through my stash to come away, I also found another project that's just been left languishing in its project bag, and it's really quite lovely. So I brought it with me in the hope that I might do a little bit more. It is a crocheted blanket in these lovely blue cottons. Isn't that nice? I'd completely forgotten about it. Completely forgotten about it. I don't even know what hook it's on. I don't even know what the pattern is. I think it's probably an Attic 24. So I'll have a little investigate. But it's so lovely, and it's in a drops yarn, the Muscat. Again, no idea. No idea. Now you understand why I'm trying to work through my stash, because I've done things like this, can't remember even casting it on, even buying the yarn, where I bought the yarn from, blah blah blah. But and it's really nice. It's really nice. It's a little bit mercerized, so the blanket is quite stiff, but yeah, it's really lovely. One of those ones that's nice to keep in your pile of finished stuff, hopefully, because great for like babies, new babies, and things like that. And yeah, we all have those that kind of come into the family or whatever. So it's nice to have something to be able to gift that's homemade. Yeah, so I'm going to try and crack on with that a little bit as well. Anything else that I'm in the middle of making? No, that is about it, I think, for works in progress. Stash acquisitions, obviously, I haven't made any because I've rediscovered quite a lot, and I haven't brought them all with me on holiday. I'm not that weird. So yeah, nothing more on that point of view. But because it's been so hot, I've done a lot of reading, and I thought I would share with you what I've been reading whilst I've been over here, because it's sort of yarn related. So the first book that I've read this last week is A Stash of One's Own by Clara Parks, and that's really lovely. It's a collection of essays, really, from knitting designers, see, I've got holiday brain. Knitting designers and yarn dyers and fibre manufacturers, that sort of thing. So that's a really lovely anthology of a stash of one's own, and how they got into the business, what their stash means to them, whether they stash at all or whether they work from project to project. So some really lovely essays in there, and so I recommend that one. A few about knitting being meditative and mindful, and the things that we create when we might be going through a really bad time or going through grief or trying to connect with people, and that so that sense of a stitch at a time kind of links us back to the world and the people that are around us. It's really, really lovely. Some nice food for thought in there. And the other book that I've read, which is also food for thought, is it's by Reni Eddo-Lodge or Eddo-Lodge, is the Why I'm No Longer Talking to White People About Race. And that has been fantastic. Obviously, at the moment, there's a huge discussion about inclusivity and racism in the knitting community. I mean, in communities at large, but specifically within the knitting community, as we know. And it's a really, really good read. I consider myself as not being racist, being open, being inclusive. But actually, I think we all need to educate ourselves a little bit more on what that means. And that book is a really, really great place to start. I would absolutely recommend it. Ysolda Teague, on her website, she's got lots of recommendations for expanding, educating oneself, and I think that is really, really important. So I would thoroughly recommend that book. It's a UK-based author, so it specifically talks about racism within the UK, places it in that community, I suppose. But also watching the panel debate at the Edinburgh Yarn Festival this year on inclusivity and diversity in the knitting community. I absolutely recommend watching that as well, with Creative CC and Sophia Tron and La Bien-Aimée, and Jeanette Sloan was on that panel. Do watch it. It's really, really interesting. It's about taking control, educating ourselves so that we can help and support a diverse community. And Jeanette Sloan, on her website, I'll put the link in the show notes. She has a directory. She's putting together a directory of BIPOC designers and knitters, creators, makers. I would also recommend going through that list and trying to investigate new people that maybe not on your feed at the moment, not in your sight lines, because there's some fantastic work out there, and we should be actively supporting people of all different genders, sexualities, race, etc., etc. So do have a look at that. So what else to say? I think that's it for bits and bobs, but maybe it's now time for Covered Corner. So, Covered Corner. What this is, if you are a new viewer, is where we chat about things that have caught your eye and you've thought, oh, I like that, but I haven't got the time to make it now, or I don't have the yarn to make it now, etc., etc., etc. So there were two things that, well, not only two, but two that particularly caught my eye this podcast episode. One is the Badland Mitts. I will put up pictures. The Badland Mitts by Katheryn Folkerth. I think that's how you say her name. I saw this picture of these beautiful mittens whilst it was 41 degrees. It instantly made my hands go sweaty, but it's just such a simple, lovely pattern, which will probably be a great stash buster. That's why it jumped into my head. I think it's a 4-ply version, and there's also a worsted weight version as well. But that is really lovely. I think I might chalk that one up for a late summer, autumn make, maybe. And the other thing I found was a pair of socks. Considering my sock mojo at the moment, I don't know why that drew my eye. I think it was the yarn in the picture, to be honest, as you will see. They're called Unfurling Leaves by Fatimah Hinds. The lacy pattern on the sock is really simple, but enough to kind of keep one's attention. And the grading of the yarn is really lovely. I need to investigate that a little bit more to find out whether it's a fade or whether the yarn does it itself. But in the cuff, you can't see it in the picture I've got, but in the cuff, it's also got a little grade there. So that is really, really lovely. So I've got my eyes on that, ready for the slow transition, summer to autumn. I know we don't want to talk about it yet, but yeah, that's very nice indeed. So if you've got any suggestions for Covered Corner, anything that has been brought to your attention across your Instagram feed or through Ravelry, etc., then you can always link me in on #Covered Corner on Instagram, or over on Ravelry there is a group that you can place your ideas or thoughts up on there called Covered Corner. Believe it or not, I really have holiday brain. It's nuts. So that is about it, I think. Yeah. So that is all the knitting content, the yarny-based content. I will probably chat a little bit more about what we've been up to here over the summer with my dad. But if you're leaving us now, thank you very much for stopping by. I hope I will see you next time. We'll still be in France the next time I podcast, so maybe I will get a little bit more done, especially on that blanket and that shawl. But thank you for stopping by, and see you next time. If you are staying, yes, we are here in France. We are in mid-west France. My dad has been out here, as I say, with my stepmom for about 8 years now, and they are on a municipal campsite in little lodges. You'll see it. I've got a little video at the end of the programme, so you'll see the sort of basic outline. And it's a really lovely community, and it's very much like Pembrokeshire, those of you who know Pembrokeshire. It's very agricultural, very quiet, very lots of dairy farming and food farming, lots of markets, and it's just so lovely and peaceful. We're about half an hour from the coast, but it's great just to get away and to sit and read and muse and drink great coffee and eat fabulous bread. And spend some time here with them. So I'm here with my husband. My daughter as well is with us for a little while, and then she flies back. She's got work over the summer. Yeah, and it's sort of it's nice to be able to spend time with my dad and stepmum, because obviously they're over here, so we don't get to see them a great deal. So it's nice to spend a couple of weeks over here. So I've just put a little bit of a film together about the town, going to get some bread in the town. So have a little look at that. You can see how hot it is because within 5 minutes of me walking off the campsite, I am absolutely sweating. How enjoyable for you. It's only my face you see that's sweating, nowhere else. How disgusting. Anyway, so yeah, have a little look at that, and I hope you are either getting ready for your summer holiday or you are away on your summer holidays, and that you get a little bit of downtime, a little bit of thinking time and some knitting time, as well as some self-care and some chilling time. That's the most important thing. So yes, I think that's all for now. Thank you so much for stopping by, and I will see you again soon. Enjoy the film. Hwyl fawr. Bye. The bells you can hear are the bells from the church. Such a beautiful sound. So it's Saturday morning, 11 o'clock. And this is the view from our front door, really. We've got a little set of goats and a donkey over there that keep the forest nice and clear. There's a new addition for this year. And you can see the Gîtes de France lodges are up there. And this is our view. You've got a few lodges. And then my dad lives just down that little avenue down there. And this is us. So another glorious day. Listening to those bells and drinking a nice cup of coffee. Yay! So we're here. I am off to get some bread for this morning. So I thought I would take you on my little route to the boulangerie and get some, hopefully, baguettes. So hot, nobody's sleeping very well, so it's quite late to go to the boulangerie at the moment, but we'll see. Hopefully there'll be some left. But yes, come with me and have a look. What a pretty little walk it is. School in the commune. It was about 40 degrees yesterday, so we went to a local shopping centre because it was air conditioned, but all the schools and all the council workers have been off work for a couple of days because it's so hot. The exams have been halted for the schools, the 15 and 16-year-olds. They've been put off since, until next week. So we're just coming out now into the main square and a lovely little boulangerie. We get our bread every day. Because if you don't eat it that day, it goes far too hard, French bread. Just loads of bugs. So I have the baguette today with, and they're building new shops in the square. So I thought I'd take you the long way round to back to the camping, because the church right in the middle of the town is absolutely beautiful. And I say it's a town, it's a village really, but every little village has a massive, massive church. The bells go off every hour and every half an hour, so you don't need your watch. No, just wait half an hour and you know exactly what time it is. So let us go and see the church on the way back.